The SmallCapPower Expert Interview.
There's been a frenzy of investor interest around medical marijuana stocks in the junior space recently. Do you think this is just another bubble, or is there a legitimate case to be made for companies active in this space?
It seems to be a bubble in the making. There sure has been a lot of money made, and by some of the early investors getting into some of these names. Probably more money to be made, but the key is to get out at the right time.
BlackRock CEO Larry Fink says growth in China will slow down to 7% from 7.7% in 2014. If this were to occur, how would it affect the Canadian economy?
Well, obviously, Chinese growth is slowing. It's unsustainable to have a major economy growing by 10% year over year. I think that the estimates are about 7.5% for 2014, which is still a very healthy growth rate, and that type of growth will still provide lots of demand for resources.
Your firm AlphaNorth Asset Management has been successful by what your company calls exploiting inefficiencies in the Canadian small cap universe. Can you elaborate on this?
Well, what we try to do is focus on names where there's no analyst coverage or no other institutional ownership. And normally, in those situations, the market can be priced inefficiently. At the time of investment, there's quite often little volume, but as the awareness of the company grows, as analysts pick up coverage and more institutions buy the stock, that increased volume is generally a good thing for the stock price.
In addition to your flagship hedge fund, AlphaNorth has two mutual funds. What is the difference in the investment strategy for the mutual funds versus the hedge funds?
Well, the investment strategy is very similar for all funds. We focus on the long term, as the small cap market is quite volatile on a monthly basis. For the mutual funds, we focus on larger companies, so it's really a small mid-cap equity fund. The benefits of investing in the mutual funds are that you get the daily liquidity of a mutual fund and the lower risk of investing in more established companies.
The venture exchange has gotten off to a strong start in 2014. Do you expect this uptrend to continue?
I think the venture index will continue to be strong this year. Normally in the venture markets, they're either going straight up or straight down. And in my view, the market bottomed in June of last year and has rallied since that time, and I think that will continue.
What sectors of the Canadian economy do you think will outperform this year, and why?
Currently, we don't really have any major sector biases, so I think all sectors should perform well this year.
What's the latest with Spectra 7 Microsystems, one of your previous picks? It had a steep decline, but it's bounced back lately.
Yeah, in the short term, the share price has been under pressure. The company was running very low on cash, and so they were working on getting additional financing. Once that was in place, which was I think they announced last week, the share price has rebounded.
In our last interview, you mentioned that you liked BSM Technologies. Do you still like this name?
Yeah, we're still very big believers in BSM. We've owned the stock for several years. When it was near the high, it was a little bit ahead of itself. We were taking some money off the table at around 3.25. But since the pullback down in the 240 per share range, we've been adding again to the position.
If you could give investors one piece of advice, what would it be?
I would suggest that investors focus more on the long term and not so much on the short-term fluctuations in the market, which are often quite emotional. Stick with an investment plan and focus on the long term.
Thanks for taking the time for the interview, Steve.
Okay, thanks for having me.
Keep up to date with all your favorite small caps. Subscribe to our free daily newsletter featuring investment ideas, breakout stocks, analyst research, and more. SmallCapPower.com. Investing ideas and research.